3 years ago, I reviewed the relaunch of the Densha De Go plug and play game. Now, the original one came out in 2018. This is the latest version, Densha De Go Plug and Play 2, the Bullet Train edition. It has just come out now, and it has arrived from Amazon Japan, and let's have a look at it. This feels a little bit heavier than the original. On the first one, we had a lever that went that way, and this one on the left that goes up and down. Notice down here, we've got numbers next to the levers. That's on both sides. Proper on-off switch, which is quite hard to move. HDMI and USB-C. Of course, we've got the USB-C lead in the box, as well as an HDMI. And we'll just have a quick look at these instructions. I suspect there isn't going to be a word of English in here. Well, more than a couple of words of English here and there. Yeah, not much help to me, that one, I'm afraid. Right, I've got everything plugged in. Let's switch it on. It's HD 720. I presume it's 60 frames a second as well.
Densha De Go!
Right, so we've got a short run here. Should take us 7 minutes.
岡山発車併発岡山新倉敷間旅行ノッチ制限確認
The graphics on this look a little bit better than the other one. I mean, they're not amazing, but they, I don't know, it just looks like there's a bit more detail. Yeah, she's very finicky about the speed here, or the position of the levers for the speed. It's not like the other one. This is a tutorial, so it's like saying put the brakes on, put the accelerator on, change the accelerator to this, change the brake to this. It's just over and over. Now, given that this is what you're supposed to know how to do as the game's played, I've got no hope. Once this woman disappears, I'm on my own. I'm just going to be doing this all the time. A different game almost entirely, whereas the other one was all about stopping at stations. This one so far, I haven't even got to a station. If I hear that ding once more, I think I'm going to go insane. Right, this one needs to go up to 0. That one needs to go to 1. Hold on, there's 1. Let's try and play a level without the tutorial woman on now. Maybe I'll enjoy this a bit more without the constant interruptions. Right, I feel a bit more relaxed now because I can sort of do my own thing. So hopefully we can stop at a station and see how good I can do that. So I'm getting the idea now. Full acceleration, 0 brake. Let's see if we can get this to stop in the right place. I doubt it somehow. I'm probably going to end up killing everyone. Yeah, the momentum's completely different on this. Yeah, I got chucked out of that game because I was too bad, which did not happen on the first one. This is way more difficult than the other one, and in a not a very enjoyable way. I'm finding this incredibly frustrating, and that's not what you want out of a game, is it? You want some enjoyment.
We will soon make a brief stop at Fukuyama. The exit is left side of the train. Passengers going to the Sanyo Fukuen line, Please change trains here at Fukuyama. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what's happened here is they've made the game perhaps more accurate as far as driving a train goes, where you have to feather the brake and accelerator in combination with one another. If you're a Japanese bullet train driver, you might enjoy this one more than the other one, but as far as just a lay person like myself who's never driven a train and never has any intention to, just wants to play a game, the enjoyment side of things seems to have been reduced for the sake of accuracy for me, and it's not much fun. It just keeps chucking me out of it because I'm not getting it right at all, and it's one of those things where you just keep failing over and over and you go, nah, that's it, yeah, all right mate, you win, yeah, you're more accurate than you were before, but you're no fun at all. So let's move on. Right, let's hope we have considerably more fun with this setup. I've got my Nintendo Switch, I've got the imported game for the Switch. I've yet to open this up despite having it in the house for a few months now. And the same goes for this controller. And notice again, this is made by Zuki, the same people responsible for the plug and play console. And again, I've yet to have a look at this. So now seems like the perfect time to do a bit of a comparison between the two versions of the games. Right, well, first off, this seems like it's got a decent build quality to it, a reasonable amount of heft. The bottom here, that's a metal plate. This handle, I thought that was a lever that did something, but it's just a piece of plastic. But actually you can grip onto it while you're moving the other one.
Densha De Go! Densha De Go! Densha De Go!
閉じ目灯が点灯したときは安全確認のため指差し確認を忘れずに心がけましょう。
It turns out the game is only in Japanese. There's no option to change it into English language. However, there is a user-generated translation manual available that you can find on Reddit, which goes to help with some of the slightly confusing things that might pop up on screen from time to time. It's actually quite a bit more simple than you might think. It's a matter of learning 3 or 4 main tasks that you have to perform, and then occasionally there'll be something that pops up that you're not sure of. Look at it in the manual, you know what it means in the future, but yeah, it'd be much better if this was available in English. I had a message come up in the middle of the screen that kept popping up and I didn't know what that meant. It meant that I had to turn the lights on. There's not that many things you have to do. For example, it'll come up with this light here and I have to press the X to confirm I've seen that, and that means I can now go. And I can see I've got to get up to 65 here, so I'll just floor it a little bit. And you want to get it as close to the speed as you can without going over. I've got to press X now to confirm that speed. Now it's got to drop to 55 before that gets to the train. There's a mark on the floor here, so I'm at 53. I'll be fine for that. And you can see this is how far it is to the next station, which is counted down all the time. I could perhaps do with increasing my speed a little bit, otherwise I'll be late when I get there. I've got to get down to 60 again before we hit this next mark. There we go, we're at 59, that'll do. Right, now we're coming into the station, so I'm going to cruise, and hopefully once that reaches 0 I'll get it to just cruise into exactly the right spot, and that's pretty much the game. That's all you have to do. So 30, 20, let's slow this down. Oh, I've gone too early. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Stop. 94 centimetres, not bad. It's just about practice. So the main aim of the game is to do everything you're taught to, but cruise to exactly the right point as you stop, and then you get scored, and then you just carry on if it unlocks the next level. Right, I'm having quite a good run on this one. I've kept my speed in the right area. We've got less than 600 metres to the station. I'm going to press the X there to confirm that, and then we're coming up to a 65 kilometres an hour zone. There it is. And yet we're coming into a station, so now I'm going to have to press the horn, and I need to slow it down as well. Could have done with just cruising in a bit better there at the end, and it gives you a graphic showing you where your station, where the train doors ended up with regard to the platform. I don't think anyone can actually get on that train, which isn't very good. I actually remember now what I enjoy about this. It's the same kind of feeling you get, I mentioned this in the previous review, as to shuffleboard and shove halfpenny, bowling, curling. There's a lot of sports that are involving just gliding things to a halt in exactly the right point, and it's a very satisfying thing when you get it right. The controller really helps you because you can feel where the neutral position is without having to look at it, so you can really get your cruising distance just right, but I've got it just wrong here. It's pretty forgiving at the moment in letting you carry on to the next level. I'm sure it'll get a lot more finicky later, but that was the problem with the plug and play too. It was just on you from the word go. It was more like trying to get through some kind of work assessment rather than play a game. At least this one gives you a bit of a chance. They've really jazzed up the presentation of this. They made it look more arcadey, but in a good way. It's definitely been updated compared to the earlier version I played a couple of years ago. Everyone waiting for the train here now has their mobile phone out. The extra arcade elements to this, the illuminated parts on the track where you're supposed to press your horn or adjust your speed, fingers pointing at buttons to press, it makes it all a lot easier, a lot more entertaining and more like a game rather than a chore. Gotta say, this controller, I think that's pretty much essential. I mean, it will play without, of course, using the regular joypad. But the thing with this is, you've got the brake at the top here, and then it stops at that position there. That's your neutral. And then to get into your accelerator, you press this button in, and it goes down into these notches at the bottom. But notice it springs back. But it springs back as far as around about the neutral position. So you could go in 1, 2, 3, 4, and just sort of hold it there. But it will also spring back lightly on your hand. It just makes it a lot easier. It assists in the playing of the game because you're not looking at the controls or looking at the on-screen menu to see what position your accelerator or brake's in. You're doing it by feel, and then the rest of these buttons on here, of course, it duplicates the things that are on your control pad. One thing I had to figure out though when I first plugged this in was that you had to go into the menus and select that you were playing with this controller. Initially everything was back to front, it didn't seem to make any sense. So once I got it set up, yeah, I really like this. I think this makes a heck of a difference. I wish it was in English. I don't see why they couldn't just spend a bit of money on translating it. I know it's not as easy as I'm saying there, but there are fans of this game who've gone to the trouble of translating the menus, so it shows there are people interested in it. So if they were just to invest some money in putting out an English language version of this with the controller and the game, I'm sure they'd more than recoup their costs. But listen, if you're from the people behind this, or you know them, can you just ask somebody, please, make an English language translation of this and release it with a controller over in the West? There are people who would want it. But anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.